In this video, we are discussing the asteroid Adelheid and an upcoming series of events that will allow us to potentially redetect a moonlet. And so let's get started. So 276 Adelheid is an asteroid in the main belt, relatively large in size, about 110 kilometers, maybe a little more, 120 kilometers in size. And its mass is not known. And we observed this event last year at the Westport Astronomical Society in the dome up here, in the telescope in the dome. This is another telescope at Westport, a 25-inch uh, telescope, very large, very cumbersome, but a great scope. But we observed this up here at Westport Observatory. And what we expected was the following. If you look at this graph here, this is what the shadow of Adelheid was going to be across the continental United States as the asteroid passed in front of a particular star. And here we are in Westport over here on the left. And there is another observer, Paul Malley, down here in Arizona. And so the satellite, or the moon, or not the moon, excuse me, the asteroid went across like such. This is on 31st of August, 2022. And then from Westport, what did we see? We saw here's the star, here's the star, here's the star. Star goes out. There's a little bit of a signal here. This is from the asteroid itself. And so we see the asteroid. As the asteroid passes through the other side, then the star comes back. And then a little bit later, about 40 seconds later, 45 seconds later, we get this second little dip here. This is likely a tiny little satellite. And so the question is can we need to detect this again to make this a bona fide actual discovery of a satellite. If you look at where we were in terms of the main body of the asteroid, both us and Paul Malley in Arizona were probably out here. This would be representing the main body of the asteroid. And then here's this little moonlet about that big in size. About 8 kilometers roughly is the expectation. Unfortunately, Paul did not see this, which brings, some uncertainty to the measurement, some doubt to the measurement, realistically. So, but it could be that it was 8 here. It could be that it was a bigger satellite, and we only clipped an edge of it. So 8 kilometers is probably the lower limit of this thing. The distance from the center of Adelheid to where that moon was about 500 kilometers. Now, at the time, we believe Adelheid was rotating around like this. So we were looking at Adelheid basically from the top of its main axis of rotation, going down like that. This particular model is based upon looking at Adelheid over a very long time and seeing how its magnitude, how its brightness changes over time. If we calculate, well, how likely was this event? Well, if 8 kilometers in like a 2 pi r, so here's the orbit of the moon about Adelheid here, and 8 kilometers here in something that's probably 2 pi times 530 kilometers. That gives you basically a chance of 1 in 400. It's pure serendipity. The magnitude difference, given the size of the satellite, probably is 6 orders of magnitude different, which is kind of like about 200 times less bright. And because of that, it'd be very hard to see this particular satellite with in any other method besides going to visit the asteroid with a spacecraft or via an occultation. If the moon's actually a little bigger, say 40 kilometers, which is probably an upper limit based on the fact that we haven't had any other evidence for the satellite, well, then maybe the magnitude drop would be 2.5. But anyway, detecting this thing was an unlikely event. Now that we know it's there, however, we can maybe make some guesses as to where it's going to be and go looking for it. So Adelheid is a main belt asteroid between Mars and Jupiter. It rotates about its own axis every about 6.3 hours. If we make an assumption that its density is about 2 grams per cubic centimeter, and given its diameter, we can calculate its mass. Given its mass, given or assuming that uh, the distance here is basically it's going in a circular orbit, which it may not be, could be elliptical. Given this radius for the orbit, we would expect then a period equivalent to about 1.8 days. So about this satellite probably goes around Adelheid about every 2 days. Excuse me. There have been past occultations observed of this, over 15 occultations, but most of them have been single chord events, just one observer looking. There are 5 with 3 or more chords, and this particular event that we had in 2022 is not in the set because there are only 2 chords. So there's some better measured events on this guy. One of them may have evidence for a moon. There's an evidence in the light curve from the observation in Australia that it goes that the star disappears, then comes back, then disappears just right after, and then comes back again. But it was not picked up at the time, and it's hard. It could also be that the asteroid has a little divot in it, and so we saw a grazing occultation of the main body of the asteroid, perhaps. It's hard to know at this stage. Now, here's the opportunity. The opportunity is on September 24th, which is at 5 Universal Time, 5:16 to 5:30 Universal Time. It's going to be 5:16 and a half close here in Connecticut and Massachusetts. And that's like 1 a.m. Just so you know, this is 1 a.m. on September 24th. That's it. So that's uh, it's kind of midnight type of an event. September 24th is a Sunday, so this is Saturday night into Sunday. Here is the projected shadow, or was the projected shadow of the main body. And then with some analysis, the actual moon is probably somewhere in this neighborhood here. Now, all of this is going to shift up just a little bit. I'll show you that in a second because the new ephemeris for the asteroid has shifted just a little bit north. So this is the main event that we want to try and attempt to find this moon, and this will be the orientation, and we're going to see the asteroid basically at a slightly lower shape here. This is what the light curve would look like if you were watching Adelheid over 6.3 hours. The light output, just based upon the rotation of the asteroid, is going to look like this. And we're going to see this basically at a minimum. So we're looking at a smaller than normal size for this asteroid just because of how our orientation is when we observe it. So if we go back to here, what that means is, well, the asteroid's probably really going to be in here somewhere. So inside of the shadow of the predicted shadow. Okay, here's another event. This is on October 4th of this year, and this is coming down right in through here. So I just put this in for completeness, and this is a little better because the magnitude is 10.5 visual magnitude for the star that the rock will be occulting. For this one, well, it's 12.9. With Adelheid's light itself, the average will come up around 12.5 magnitude is what you're going to see when you look at the event if you are observing this thing. The other problem, which you can't see here, is that in this event, the elevation is only about 20 degrees. All right. Here's another one in October of 2023, and it's up here in Maine. In this case, though, the moon's probably going to do this. So the moon and the asteroid's path are much better aligned. Again, this model for where's the moon going to be? Well, that's based upon some assumptions that could, of course, be wrong, but it's likely that that will be the case. Similar event to the one in September 24 in terms of the magnitude of the star, slightly higher elevation. And then January 29th, there's one more chance here in the northeast. And the issue is that it's in the twilight. So this will be pretty hard to see. It's not quite clear how visible this will be. A test will have to be made at the appropriate time. All right, so that's the event. This is the one we want to plan for. This is the one we want to plan for. So that's let's go to Occult Watcher Cloud. In a recent video, we showed how we can load up Occult Watcher and uh, announce an event at that time. Now, in this case, actually, we have to get out of this because it looks like we're in the wrong account. So let's come back into here. In the meantime, in Occult Cloud, if you cannot, for some reason, load up Occult Watcher, which is possible if you have an Apple computer, for instance, then maybe you can still look at this event on Occult Watcher Cloud. Okay, so if you come home, you have to set up an account and log in. So we have set up an account and we've logged in, and then we're going to go hit what you want to do is you want to hit the events page, and then you want to hit the object ID, and we're going to give the number for the asteroid. So Adelheid is 276. If you don't remember that, what you can do, but you remember Adelheid, you can just go to the web. You put in asteroid, and certain things are going to come up. Like there's a Wikipedia page for this guy. I'll tell you more information about it. And it'll tell you the number, more importantly, 276. So let's go back to the search again. 276, you have to put in the right date, and you have to use this calendar. You can't type it in. If you type it in, it doesn't seem to work. So we're going to go to September 24th, and we can do plus or minus 2 days. It's not a big deal. Plus or minus 1 day will work. Probably 0 days will work because this is the date of the event. Search is looking through over 100,000 different occultations. All right, so now here is the event on Occult Watcher Cloud, JPL event number or model number 72 for this particular asteroid. If you click on Adelheid, it will take you to the JPL website and tell you all the information about this thing. It can show you some nice, well, that we don't need that because it's a main belt asteroid. So there's, oh, here it was. The orbit viewer is here. And so here's the orbit of Adelheid, and here's the inner part of the solar system, all sorts of things you can play with this site. So that's what you can do if you click on the asteroid itself, the asteroid name itself, you can get information about the star here. And then here's the path. And this guy has, now if you have to log in, if you click on the path, you have to re-hit it again. It does not refresh. So here's the path, and there's currently 5 telescopes who have signed up for this thing. And we are going to announce a 6th here at the University of New Haven. So here at the Westport Astronomical Society, 2 and further down in Connecticut, Victoria has put these in, and then 2 others in Pennsylvania. And there are more to come, but at the moment, that's all there is. So if we go to now, Occult Watcher is not going to work here, so I'm going to pause the video here just for a second. I'm going to get that to work, and then I'll be right back. Okay, and now we are back. So what I've done is I've joined on another machine. The Occult Watcher desktop only allows you to have one account, as best I can tell. So I have on one computer my own account, and the other one the New Haven account. And so we're going to look at the New Haven account. And so far we've loaded up one event here, which is on the same day. Actually, it's in the evening of the same day of the Adelheid event, and we'll see if we actually get that done. But anyway, in the desktop here, and this is why I still like the desktop, because it divides the data set into the different feeds, the main IOTA feed and planned observations. These are asteroids, asteroid occultations, that stellar occultations by asteroids that are predicted and will be observed by other people. And so you can look at those and see if you want to join any of those. Now, for some reason, Adelheid is not in this list, and I think it's because it's in the low mag section here. So we're going to scroll down to the 24th of September, and here's the event. And here's the event. It's this is the prediction of where the shadow is going to be. There's one individual right now under the shadow. That's Steve Kennard in Pennsylvania. And then here is Westport Astronomical Society. Here, this I loaded up earlier. There is someone else here, Steve Hoffman, who's also, I believe, in Pennsylvania, who seems to be at the same position of New Haven. And we'll show that here in a second. But what I'm going to do is announce the event. Let's just go through a couple more things. Again, this is the star name, which you can get if you go to the Vizier site. And so here's the star, and you click on that, and it'll tell you all the star information. The best thing, I think, is a finder finder image here that you can get right off the internet. And I've taken out the Gaia stars because they're kind of a nuisance. And then, so in the field of view, this is the star that will be occulted. There are 2 other stars and a little doublet here that are of comparable brightness that will be that should be in the field of view. And so you should be able to have at least 2 stars in the field of view if you observe this event. But here we are. This is the Adelheid event. Combined magnitude, that's Adelheid plus the star, 12.6 magnitude, 20 degrees in the constellation of Orion. And in fact, we can see that, I think, if we just scroll out here. Let's just do that. Let's see if we can see it. Maybe not. You have to really scroll out. So there's the belt. It was in here somewhere. Here's the belt here. Here's Betelgeuse. Rigel's down here. I forget the name of this star. It's up near this star somewhere. So it should be fairly straightforward to get to if you are star hopping. Anyway, so here we are. We're at this event. Again, if you click on here, view details on the web, it will load up the page. So this is just, again, the occult cloud where you can get gobs of information about the star. If you wish to announce the star using the desktop, then what you want to do is you want to click on the event that you're interested in, do a right click on it. There's more things that you can do in the look at this thing. You can add addition. You can look at additional event details, and well, let's just do that first. And one of the interesting things about this, which is not in the cloud version as yet, is that it allows you to look at past occultations. Um, and so, here's the star information, here's the asteroid information, here's the event information, certain things about the event. And you can go through this if you have interest. And then this is previous observations. So this was the first one in 2002. The database ends in 2017, but then this was the event seen in 2017, and you can zoom out by hitting the minus key. And so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chords were detected. 5 people saw it. There were 2 misses, and then this purple line is the prediction. All right, so that's just one of the other options. We're going to right click. We're going to do an add to my events, observe from University of New Haven. And we're going to do video. We'll probably do NTP. And we are 53 meters to the right or to the south of the center line. Currently, we have nobody up here. The problem is that the event shifted up just a little bit. So we are going to have to do some work to get some observers up here. Anyway, we've chosen the inexact chord for 1 kilometer of privacy, so we don't know the exact position of where we're going to be. We're not going to show people the exact position. Click OK, and now we have, it turns out we are at the exact same position on this event as one of the other observers. So one of us is going, observe it, but if you have 2 people looking at it, especially if you're looking for a moon that is probably only 10 kilometers in size, you want to be spacing out across this whole thing. And so probably one of us will have to move. If you want, there's one other feature. I'll just show you one last feature here, and then we'll call it quits on this video. Here, the station sort. So this will tell you all of the different locations of where people are. So Rick Bria has set up 2 telescopes. This is the Westport site. Here's the University of New Haven site. This is Steve Hoffman. This is Steve Kennard. Only Steve Kennard at the moment is under the shadow of the main asteroid, and hopefully we can get some more people. We can get more people also on both of the wings here for people all the way from say Virginia up into, now I know there's a couple in one in New York and one in Vermont who have not announced as yet, but if we can get some more people, so there'll probably be someone up here observing, someone over here in Vermont observing, and I know there are people down here who can observe. So we should have, when all said and done, we should have good coverage across this thing with a decent chance of actually detecting this moon again. So that's the Adelheid event that's coming up, and hopefully you can join us. If you cannot upload the desktop, Occult Watcher desktop, and you want to observe this event, it would be great if you could announce your position. So just send me an email where telling me you would like to observe it, how big your telescope will be, and where you're going to observe it from. Hopefully upstate Connecticut or in Massachusetts, but we'll take whatever. All right, until next time.